An AIRMET is your go-to concise forecast, specifically crafted for low-level aviation using easy-to-read abbreviated plain language. These forecasts are generally intended for aircraft operating up to flight level 100. However, when flying through mountainous terrain, that coverage extends up to flight level 150. While AIRMET formats can vary internationally, you'll find consistent, essential elements shared across them all. Here in the UK, we issue AIRMETs for 8 distinct geographical areas. Rest assured, the data within these AIRMETs remains perfectly synced with the 215 chart, ensuring consistency for the same valid time period. Our regional AIRMETs for Scotland, Northern England, Northern Ireland, Southern England, and Wales are refreshed 4 times daily. The sub-regional AIRMETs for the central, south east, and south west areas are produced 3 times a day, with the cross-channel AIRMET updated twice daily. Let's dive into a typical UK AIRMET together and break it down section by section. You'll quickly notice how familiar it looks, as it utilizes many of the same standard abbreviations we've already explored in our lessons on low-level significant weather charts and SIGMETs. For this demonstration, we'll examine a standard AIRMET from a southern region. The very first line clearly defines the validity period of the forecast. In this specific example, our product is valid from 1100 to 1900 UTC on the 18th of the month. Next, we find a concise description of the meteorological situation expected to impact the forecast area. This section typically highlights any active fronts in the region and their expected movement. You'll also find vital details regarding any shifts in the air mass. We use clear, professional, abbreviated plain English to describe what we call the Met situation. Just below that, you'll see a section detailing any warnings for strong winds. These warnings are triggered whenever we anticipate wind speeds exceeding 20 knots. Keep in mind, this 20-knot threshold applies to both mean speeds and gusts. Moving right along, just below the strong wind warning, you'll find the general wind forecast for our AIRMET region. These forecast winds are conveniently provided at flight levels 060, 030, and 010. To round out each wind forecast, we include the expected temperature for that specific flight level. Keep an eye out for any changes in wind or temperature, which are clearly noted using concise, abbreviated text. For instance, in this example, the wind at 1000 feet is forecast at 20 knots. Expect a shift from 330 degrees true, gradually strengthening to 30 knots from 280 degrees. The temperature for this altitude is forecast to be plus 5 degrees Celsius. Directly beneath the wind section, we provide the forecast for the freezing level. This can vary across the AIRMET region, and it often shifts over time, which is especially common when a cold front pushes through the area. Any fluctuations are highlighted for you with clear, descriptive text. Now, looking just below the freezing level section, you'll find a detailed breakdown of the weather conditions forecast for the entire AIRMET region. To keep things organized, this region is often divided into distinct zones, each with its own specific weather profile. In this example, we are looking at 2 separate zones. The boundaries of these zones are clearly defined using explanatory text. If those boundaries are dynamic, we'll describe their movement accordingly. For example, the boundary of Zone 1 is set at 1500 Zulu, aligned northwest from Moirine Bay to Waterford, and it's tracking southeast at a brisk 40 knots. Finally, within each zone, you will find a comprehensive description of the various weather elements expected to occur. These essential weather elements include forecasts for visibility, present weather, and cloud coverage. This includes critical data on cloud bases, tops, and the total quantity of cloud cover. We've structured these elements in the exact order you'll find on the UK low-level significant weather chart. Let's look at the 215. We are using the same abbreviated plain language you've been practicing, so it should start to feel like second nature. Let's walk through the lines of text in Zone 1 together to get you comfortable with how this information is organized. We begin with general conditions featuring 25 kilometers of visibility in occasional rain. This is accompanied by a cloud layer of 6 to 8 octaves of cumulus and altocumulus, with a base at 2000 feet and tops reaching 14,000 feet. Occasionally, visibility will drop to 7 kilometers in rain or rain showers, while the cloud base lowers to 1,500 feet, with 7 to 8 octaves of cumulus and altocumulus extending to 17,000 feet. Isolated conditions forecast 3,500 meters of visibility in heavy rain, rain showers, or rain and snow, with stratus clouds lowering to a base of 800 feet and tops of 1,500 feet. Additionally, we are looking at 8 octaves of cumulus and altocumulus with a base of 1,500 feet and tops at 17,000 feet. The final section at the bottom of each zone provides a list of specific warnings relevant to that area. These warnings highlight key aviation hazards like cloud on hills, moderate or severe icing, turbulence, sub-zero layers, and mountain wave activity. The final lines at the bottom of each AIRMET provide a concise outlook for the next 6 hours. This forecast is designed to be short and direct. Unless significant changes are expected, it is simply noted as little change. When interpreting AIRMETs, it is vital to remember that each zone provides a snapshot forecast of the anticipated conditions at a specific time. Occasionally, we include specific timing for phenomena. For example, isolated patches of fog with 300 meters visibility might be expected until 0900 Zulu. Normally, however, it remains your responsibility as the pilot to interpret this information dynamically. Keep in mind that zone boundaries are typically defined relative to time, speed, and direction of movement. Building your experience is key. You will need to practice interpolating this data to accurately predict how weather conditions will evolve across your forecast area. As we kicked off this lesson, You've likely noticed that the format of AIRMETs can vary quite a bit from one country to another. So, whenever you are heading outside of UK airspace, it's a smart move to fully familiarize yourself with the specific AIRMET formats used by that state's meteorological service. The great news is that once you've mastered the format and language of UK AIRMETs, you'll have all the tools you need to confidently interpret those different styles wherever you fly.